Is the Warrior of Light hot? Let's talk about it. Final Fantasy XIV first released more than 13 years ago. From version 1.0 in 2010 to the overhaul that was a Realm Reborn, to now, 4 expansions later with Dawntrail on the horizon, the main protagonist has certainly gone through quite a few changes. Starting from humble beginnings as a mere adventurer, he has overcome countless challenges and tribulations the world over to earn the renown of a war-forged hero for all of Aetheris. Meteor, or main character, or MC, or Warrior of Light, or whatever you want to call him, in this case just Wall, serves as the titular poster boy for Final Fantasy XIV. He's essentially a stand-in for the player character that one would create for their own personal journey in-game, and it's his face that appears in all of the trailers and official art. So, is he hot? Well, it depends when you're asking. 1.0 Final Fantasy XIV Online. Like a fresh-baked bun right out of the oven, OG 1.0 Wall is as supple as any budding sprout. Eager, baby-faced, doe-eyed, lacking any discernible scars or features denoting hard-earned experience, this Wall is the definition of beginnings. He has a simple quality about him. It's not as if he isn't hot, or attractive rather, he's just more cute, endearing, like a baby brother that you hope can fulfill his dreams one day as he steps out into the great beyond. He doesn't scream steamy like some of his later personas. Here, he's repping the archer build, opting to shoot arrows from afar rather than jumping into the fray on the front lines where the real action is. You can even clock some of the genuine fear in his eyes as he and his party struggle to fell even a single Morble. What is that, around like level 30? Frankly, it's up to the rest of his group to do most of the heavy lifting in this battle, while he spends half of it as a darling in distress. Then again, he does actually speak in this trailer, and I suppose a man who can articulate himself well warrants at least a bit of recognition. Even so, C tier.
This one. We'll start with this one.
Ah, he speaks.
Can we go now?
A Realm Reborn. 3 years since the launch of a failed game, this Wall now knows a thing or two about experience. He's battle-hardened, charges the field with a fervor reserved only for the most grizzled of fighters. He's even taken on the mantle of his own title by switching to the warrior job. Behold, as he swings his axe in cleaving strikes on those poor Garlean miscreants. They do say confidence makes a man, and this man surely does not lack in confidence. And yet, despite all of this, his appearance remains mostly unchanged. He still looks fresh, smooth, swaddled beneath early 2010s CG graphical engines and bereft of the pockmarks of age or realism. An outfit change and better bravado helps to be sure, but it can really only do so much. Especially when staring into his eyes, the image that comes to mind is still that same baby brother who you're holding out hope will eventually find his moment to shine. It also doesn't help that he can't even finish his own battles, and has to be whisked away by Giga Chad Papa Louis Swa to save his own skin. Sorry, still C tier. Heavensward. Friends missing, on the run, and braving hostile new environs. This Wall has been served a dish that surely cannot be easily stomached after an impeccable parade of victories and ultimately being proclaimed the hero of Eorzea. Loss. There's something enthralling about an exile looking to clear his name out in unknown lands. It evokes a sense of desperation, brewed deep with that underlying simmer of unbridled fury. Betrayal doth sting worse the farther one falls, or so they say. At last, the Wall faces his first true trial, one that cannot be won merely by swinging an axe. Suffering is real, and it is all around him. He knows a change must be made. The time is right, and the stage is set. What makes this Wall measurably hot is not a makeover, but a showing of resilience in the face of adversity. He finally sheds the skin of a babyface hero that knows only praise and the fast track to success to don a new shell. One that comes equipped with a sharp point to pierce the evils and wrongs of the world, and one that morphs perfectly snug against his skin. Dragoon may be the headliner job of this expansion, but it also symbolizes the Wall stepping into his new role. The role of becoming a hero worthy of his own salt, of no longer needing someone else to save him from the danger, of jumping higher and higher into the heavens, to reach impossible new heights than ever before. And it's beautiful. B tier. Stormblood, Monk. With the arrival of Stormblood, we are treated to two versions of our beloved wall. The first is Mr. Man-Meat, abs of steel, vein popping, tattoo having, new facial hair, Monk Daddy wall. This one's no secret. He's hot, undeniably so. The ridges between his muscles might as well have been carved by Michelangelo himself. Now this guy is a full-fledged man, through and through. Along with that chiseled physique also comes a trip to the esthetician for a fresh new cut. Even his attire is provocative. It screams, "I'm a monk, yeah, a down and dirty fighter. I'll kick your ass with my bare fists, but I'll also show some midriff and look sexy doing it." There's weight behind his attacks. They send shockwaves across all of Raru's reach. And if Lise wasn't also unbearably hot, she probably would have been buried by the sheer might of his eroticism, let alone those punches. And not only that, but he's also a little flirty too. Look at those pouty lips as he rears for an attack. The smirk on his face before extending his fist. The whole sequence is reminiscent of a beautiful dance, caked in a heavy layer of seduction and sexual tension. I mean, you can't tell me they're not both aching for a little smooch by the end of it. A tier. Stormblood, Samurai. The other version of the wall showcased in the Stormblood trailer is the Samurai. A much different approach than the brazen, in-your-face provocativity of the monk. This one has more edge. Much more edge. Shadowbringers may have the Dark Knight as its headliner job, but make no mistake, this wall is the edgelord of all the various versions. Loose, messy bangs covering one eye, a brooding stare, and a garb of red so deep the blood won't show when he slices up his foes. You can practically hear the anime quips swirling through his head as he deals with his enemies. Yade yade daze. Omae wa mou. It's an aesthetic for sure. And the bullet slicing, teleports behind you, sonic boom, and sword sheathing are cool, but man are they extra. This more than likely does it for someone, but amongst the competition, arguably closer to the bottom of the barrel. Keep looking woefully into the sky, Sandman. Maybe you'll find your tsundere waifu out there someday. Sorry, but not even free feet exposure can save you from this one. D tier. Shadowbringers. One of the best things about the wall in the Shadowbringers trailer is that he undergoes a complete character arc. In the beginning, he is battered, broken, gruff, and at the end of his tether. He duels this menacing foe, as is his destiny, to ultimately rise as the victor. But at what cost? The feelings and sentiment are similar to the challenges he faced at the onset of Heavensward, but also very distinct. Rather than a sense of desperation here, there is trauma. This time, he does not appear driven by betrayal and fury. Instead, he is saddled by the weight of responsibility and inadequacy. Won the battle, but lost the war, as they say. Any remnants of that first bright-eyed adventurer have been extinguished. His hair is tousled and dirty. A shadow grows over his face. He's hardly recognizable as the man he once was. However, with that change comes a new wealth of experience. This is the most versatile wall we've yet to witness. He knows his role as a hero, understands the mechanics of the fight. It's so gratifying to watch him seamlessly switch between jobs at a moment's notice in reaction to the battle at hand. And yet, despite all of the flair and badass tactics, he still gets utterly bodied by the Sin Eater. His best efforts crushed beneath the foot of a stronger foe. And as tragic as it is, it's also somewhat satisfying to see this new vulnerability of the wall. But unlike previous iterations where he could be rescued or saved by others, this time, he is alone, helpless. The sheer mollywhopping he receives resonates as a lesson and a threat both. You are not invincible. Finish this yourself, or get buried in the dirt. And so the cathartic resolution comes. Once more, the wall steps into a new role, dons the mantle of darkness to split that suffocating blanket of light that shrouds his ascent back toward the heavens. It's a return to the promise he made long ago, to the people he must save, to his friends, and to himself. In a final shot through the flames of shadow, his eyes lock ours with the burning of a man forged anew. And if that doesn't send shivers up your spine, I don't know what will. A tier. Endwalker. At the end of the road, our wall walks alone. He looks the same as in his previous iteration. Worn, unkempt, but also determined. Brandishing a new sword and shield, he is fitted in the plate of a paladin, tasked with bringing the light to all. Admittedly, this is a heavy burden for anyone to have to shoulder, and when the weight of the world rests upon your back, only the strongest will be able to bear it. Therein lies the problem with this wall. Too far deep is he in the duty of his role that he cannot be bothered to play the part. He is meant to represent a beacon of light amidst a dark cloud of despair. The people should find hope, feel invigorated and inspired when they chance to glance upon him. He is supposed to be a splendid paladin after all. His very presence should be a comfort to those in need of succor. But instead, he exudes an aura of hostility. There is a strength there, of course, but it's a vicious strength as opposed to one of radiance. The scruffy face, taut posture, and unfalteringly sour expression do little to breed much needed inspiration. Granted, Endwalker hosts the conclusion arc for every character in the series. One could argue that they are meant to shine more in the trailer than the wall himself. But that contradiction of what the wall is supposed to represent here, and how he actually appears, only makes him all the more unappealing. Be warm. Stretch out a hand. Shine. That is the wall that is needed in those darkest of times. To quote the words of one who would know better than any, a smile better suits a hero. D tier. Dawntrail. Like a breath of fresh air, Dawntrail will arrive with the summer's breeze. Coming along for the ride is our beloved wall, this time with a distinctly fresh new coat of paint. A figurative return to glory, as it were. Free of Heidelins and Zodiarchs and existential world-ending threats that concern gods and shards and Xenoses, the relief on his face is palpable. He needs this break, and frankly, so do we. In the beginning, he has his hood up, covered in a canvas cloak to shield from the sun. But even then, he already feels more alive than his Endwalker counterpart. Perched at the bow of the boat, foot tapping with anticipation for the thrills to come, and, thank goodness, the return of the patented smirk. As he duels Galul Jaja, he's got a swagger in his step. No frightened, desperate swings, just cool, calm, and collected parries and blocks, even as fire gets thrown in his face. Leading, of course, to the highlight of the trailer, when he finally dismisses the coat to reveal the Viper garb. The garb, but also that hair. A complete departure from his previous cuts. Those long locks pulled back into a bun complement the dynamic dual-wielding assassin look perfectly. And even his moves are beautiful. Wisps of loose hair float over his face as the twin blades draw dancing streams in the air around him. And then there's his expressions, feverish and fierce. The almost flirty grins and pouts of the monk days make a comeback, and the whole ensemble is glorious to behold. It's intense, dramatic, but most of all, passionate, as if life had been kindled anew in a husk that had been broken down from the weight of its own responsibilities. The last look he gives us tells it all. Hood drawn, eyes down, small final inhale, before tilting up and meeting our awaiting gaze with a zeal that can take your breath away. The easygoing confidence behind it is both reassuring and exciting. Like a hug, or handshake, or pat on the head, whatever your favorite form of physical connection, coupled with the words whispered soothingly in your ear. I'm back, and look at me now. S tier. And there you have it. If you're still looking for the short answer to the question, is the Warrior of Light hot? I would say yes, but also sometimes no. Either way, please do tell me that my taste is garbage and why my list is wrong in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your rankings, or better yet, if you actually agree with me, and rightfully so. Also, if you like this content, feel free to subscribe or check out my live FF14 playthrough series on the Dawntrail for more Final Fantasy XIV goodness. To wherever you are, good morning, good night, and everything in between. Until next time, see ya!